Stay with me until the very end of this story, because beneath what appears to be an ordinary crime scene lies a deeper, chilling truth that might just change everything you thought you knew about fear and evil. This tale will pull you into a world where silence, shadows, and something far worse than any human threat lurk in the corners of a decrepit building. It's a story not easily shaken off, one that will leave you questioning the very nature of the darkness around us. So keep listening closely. Every moment matters. Before we dive deeper, I want to invite you to subscribe and hit that notification bell to join the community following this journey into the unknown. Your support means everything, and together we can unravel more of these unnerving mysteries every week. Don't miss out on what's coming next, and thank you for being here. I pulled up to the address, engine running just long enough to hear the radiator tick in protest. The building loomed 4 stories tall, its concrete weathered and worn to a dull gray that blended almost seamlessly with the overcast sky. Cracks spiderwebbed up its facade like veins, some patched with foam sealant over the larger fractures, but most left exposed to the elements. A handful of rusted air conditioners buzzed faintly near the top, behind which thin faces watched the street, disappearing when they saw me in plain clothes, others staring blankly without fear or worry. Yellow police tape cut across the entrance like a warning line, guarded by 2 tired-looking uniforms who could have been pulled from the depths of sleepless nights. One gave a tired nod and lifted the tape as I approached, no questions needed once I flashed my badge. "Detective Hanley," I said, and he replied with directions to the 3rd floor, Unit 3. Charlie, urging me to see it with my own eyes. The stairwell invited me inside with the bitter scent of mildew and cheap detergent, the telltale sign of a hasty cleanup. Blood trickled beneath the victim's door, a dark path leading to the base of the stairs as rats scattered into the shadows at my presence. The door to Unit 3. Charlie stood ajar, propped open by a folding wedge, where 2 more officers waited silently, one scribbling notes diligently, while the other stared pale and tight-lipped, arms crossed. Stepping inside, I scanned the room carefully, breathing slow and steady as the thick, humid air weighed down the cramped living space. A crushed heap of what once was a human body lay in the far corner, twisted limbs and a neck snapped at an impossible angle. Her jaw drooped unnaturally, hanging only by muscle. The wounds told of violence with a blunt object. White splashes and thick streaks of blood stained the vinyl floor, partially dried, partially still sticky. The right arm was missing entirely. The walls stood intact without signs of struggle. No overturned furniture, no destroyed pictures or lamps, no defensive wounds on the hands, no tooth marks or gag marks in the mouth, nothing under the nails. A peaceful life abruptly ended here. I asked about who found her, learning neighbors 2 doors down called in after hearing screams around 10:26 p.m. The front door was locked, no signs of forced entry, a chain kept in place until officers kicked it open. In addition to the victim's body, rats were inside the apartment already, but clearly no recent damage to the room suggested they were not the direct cause. The absence of a fight indicated a one-sided carnage, deliberate and merciless. Questioning neighbors brought routine accounts. A man in a gray tank top denying any involvement, a woman hearing thumps but unsure. An older woman on the floor above spoke of something in the walls, scratching and moving not like rats but something worse, her words hanging in the stale air. Upstairs occupants included the man who held his child in trembling, tear-streaked arms, confirming he heard a sharp, quick scream followed by pounding vibrations that shook their bones, before sudden silence descended. No signs of anyone entering or leaving, no cameras inside, only a loop recording of the baby's room audible feed. Security cameras, installed after bicycle thefts years ago, gave grainy footage covering the entrance and hallway, but nothing revealing. The patterns of comings and goings showed no suspects. Nothing made sense. Back in the apartment, a handprint pressed into the white stucco near the ceiling caught my eye. It was surrounded by blood splatters, but stood out for its clean yet smudged form, an unnatural thumb angle suggesting it had been twisted outward deliberately. Far above the living room where the woman couldn't have reached even standing on furniture, evidence pointed to a killer's deliberate signature, something rare but not unheard of. Photos were taken to preserve it, and the case file flagged the precinct to increase night patrols. Days at home revealed Samantha Ortega, an unremarkable 32-year-old woman with no criminal past and a quiet life dedicated to data entry. Co-workers remembered her as polite and consistent, with no enemies, no partners, just solitude and small acts of kindness like cupcakes at parties. Her messages carried nothing sinister. Fingerprints from the handprint returned only her DNA, deepening the mystery. It meant the print had to have been made post-mortem by someone else using her severed arm. A week later, the grim news arrived. A new body in Unit 4, Charlie, the apartment directly above, seen flooded with flashing squad cars and frantic officers. A man who had held his son now lay broken on the floor, neck snapped, ribs crushed, head missing entirely. Horrific and incomplete, like a gruesome puzzle missing its centerpiece. Again, no forced entry, no signs of struggle. But the wall above the couch displayed a bloody handprint mirroring the first, this time cleaner, more taunting. Closer inspection revealed a tampered air vent near the handprint, screws half out and a dislodged grill, suggesting something crawled through it. Darkness inside harbored a foul stench of wet fur and decay. A probe inside resulted in bites from rats, tearing my glove and drawing blood, a cruel reminder of the pests thriving amidst death. Revisiting footage and testimonies yielded no new clues. The two handprints suggested a pattern moving vertically, a signature pointing to the next crime scene. With that, I focused on Unit 5 Charlie, contacting the tenant who quickly vacated after I hinted at the building's dangers, encouraging an empty scene for my watch. Fingerprint results came back shocking. Human, female, matched to the first victim, Samantha, confirming someone pressed her dead hand high on the ceiling. A grotesque mocking of the investigators. Settled in for vigil at Unit 5 Charlie. Armed and alert, the night crawled by in sterile silence, punctuated only by the regular patrol check-ins. And then, sudden chaos, a shattering crash, a scream clipped and swallowed in the darkness, crashing against wall and ears alike. The source was next door in Unit 5 Delta. I breached swift and hard only to face an unimaginable horror. A living mass of rats, thousands intertwined, forming a grotesque humanoid shape, wearing the ripped face of the missing man like a grotesque mask. The creature's body pulsed with movement, limbs made of fur and bone, pressing bloody handprints on the ceiling as if signing its malevolent work. I emptied rounds into it, black vapor hissing from each impact, the swarm pulling in fallen rats to heal itself, unrelenting and mocking. A strike knocked me down, pain searing through wounded limbs, vision blurring. Silence fell like a curtain after the retreat of the monstrous entity, vanishing back into the ducts, leaving only the echo of its breath and the horror of its power behind. hospital-bound with bruises and concussion, I kept silent of what I had seen, understanding disbelief would shield many from the truth. The building remained inhabited and the threat unresolved, pushing me to confront the landlord who ignored warnings, forcing an evacuation under the guise of a gas leak, a convenient cover for a much darker exodus. Extermination efforts began with foolproof fumigation and invasive tearing through walls to root out the infestation. Days later, what emerged was a massive rotting rat king made from intertwined rodents and human limbs, a horrifying nest harboring the depth of this nightmare. The media dubbed the site a health hazard, but the killer remained at large, their gruesome signature forever marked on the walls and in my mind as I stare into the abyss of this unsolved terror.